and welcome to your short, gentle, immunity boosting yoga flow. Most of these movements are going to be quite gentle, staying on the floor, taking the practice just as however you feel today if you're feeling a little under the weather. But we're hopefully going to be stimulating the lymph nodes in the neck, just under the shoulders, in the armpits, and some movements for the lymph nodes in the hips as well. So if we want to begin in a cross-legged position, if you're not already here, we're going to make sure the spine is nice and straight. So just play with moving forwards and backwards until you find that sweet spot where your spine is in a straight line directly above your hip bones. We want the crown of the head to pull towards the ceiling, and we want to let the shoulders drop away from the ears. Starting to close down the eyes or taking a soft gaze towards the floor. Taking a moment just to concentrate on our breath before we start to move. Just thinking about how it feels, not manipulating it in any way. And now we'll just start to deepen the breath slightly before we start our practice. So we will move through an inhale for a count of 4. We'll hold at the top for 2 seconds, and we'll let go, exhaling all the air out of the breath for a count of 5. So once you finish your next exhale, let's begin to inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold for 1, 2, and out, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, in, 2, 3, 4, holding for 1, 2, out, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Continuing this a couple more rounds in your own count, just ensuring that the exhale is longer than the inhale. Slowing down the breath, breathing deeply into the belly, and then letting it all go, all out. Finishing off this round, and then we'll start to make some gentle movements. We'll start first by bringing the right ear down towards the right shoulder, letting gravity do the work here, feeling a stretch in the left hand side of the neck. If you've got space to go a little further, we'll take our right hand up and over and place it on top of the left ear. Not pushing the head in any way, but just letting the weight of the hand stretch the neck a little further on the left hand side. Continuing your deep breathing. Right hand comes back down to the floor. Left ear comes now to meet the left shoulder. Left arm then comes up and over, resting it gently on top of the right ear, and really letting the right shoulder feel heavy dropping down towards the ground, to feel that stretch just a little bit more. Breathing deeply, moving gently and with intention. Left hand comes back to meet the ground, right ear up and over, one more time on each side. Right hand comes up, rest gently on the left ear, Left shoulder drops towards the ground. Get a nice stretch the whole way from the ear to the shoulder. Breathing deeply. And moving to the other side. Right hand comes down to the floor. Left ear to left shoulder. Left hand up and over. Right shoulder drops towards the ground, feeling heavy. And back to neutral. Left hand comes down to the ground. We straighten the head. We pull the crown of the head towards the ceiling. And then we're going to go for a spinal twist. So our right hand is going to come across to the outer edge of the left knee. We're going to curl our fingertips of the left hand behind the back. And we're going to straighten out the spine, bringing the crown of the head towards the ceiling, and then we look over the left shoulder, spinal twist. Breathing in and then breathing out, twisting a little further with the outer breath. Now staying where you are with the right arm, we're going to bring our left hand up and over for a side bend. So still holding on to the left knee, we're going to activate the fingertips of the left hand and really stretch across the body, pushing the left hip down towards the mat and activating those fingertips. We're going to go for one more twist. So now bringing that left hand back down behind the body yet again. Spinal twist, wringing out the spine. Crown of the head towards the ceiling, making space. And breathing out, twisting further towards the back of the room. And now switching out to the other side. So bringing our hands around to twist towards the other side. Left hand catches onto the outer edge of the right knee. Our right fingertips crawl to behind the bum. We breathe in, stretch up, make space. We breathe out, look over the right shoulder, twist to the other side. Breathing in, making space. Breathing out, twisting a little bit further. Breathing in and breathing out. Right hand comes up and over this time for our side bend. So keeping the left hand exactly where it is so we can bend over towards the left hand side of the room. Really activating those fingertips. Just straighten the arm as much as we can. And then making space in the right hand side of our body from the hip all the way up through the ribs, the armpits, the elbow and the hand. Breathing deeply to make space. Breathing in. And as we breathe out, the right fingertips come behind us for another twist. Seeing if we can twist just a little bit further this time. Breathing in to make space in the spine. Breathing out, looking over that right shoulder, twisting a little deeper each time. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Coming back to neutral. We're going to come into a butterfly legs, Bakasana legs. So we'll bring the soles of our feet together. We'll let our knees drop out wide. And again, just have a play around here with what feels good, how close we bring our heels to the hips, intensifies the stretch in the hips a little bit further. Or we can walk our toes a little bit more forward if we're finding it a little bit difficult to open the hips this morning, holding on to the ankles. So you can either stay here if you want to go further and get a really good stretch in the back of the neck and the back body. We'll first of all straighten our spine, again making space like we've done, bringing the crown of the head towards the ceiling so that we can start to bring our chest down towards our toes. But if you've got room, we're going to take both of our hands and bring them underneath each ankle. So the hands come underneath each ankle and then grab onto the foot at the bottom of the feet, clasping our hands underneath the pinky toe edge of our foot. So again, this pulls us forward, pulling the chest towards the big toes, and then we'll drop the head down, tuck the chin. So we're opening the hips in the front body here, but we're also stretching out the back body. Breathing in, making space in the back body. Breathing out, pushing the chest a little bit further towards the toes, opening the hips just a little bit more. Breathing in, expanding the back body. Breathing out, opening those hips, bringing the chest towards the toes. One more deep breath. And start to straighten out again, bringing your hands back underneath the ankles, straightening out the back body if you were there. And we'll come into a child's pose. So coming onto our knees, diving forward. I'll just turn this way on the mat. Going into our child's pose. Again, you can take the knees as wide or as close together as you would like. If you do want to stimulate the hips a little more, I would suggest just bringing the knees a little bit further, a little bit wider. Keeping the big toes together at the back, and then starting to crawl down towards the mat. Really taking those fingertips as far forward as they'll possibly go. And then concentrate on bringing the forehead towards the mat. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Coming up into our tabletop, we're going to do thread the needle. So bringing our hands in a little bit closer to the body, pushing up into that tabletop position where our knees are underneath our hips, our wrists are underneath our shoulders, creating that neutral spine. Sweeping the right hand up and overhead. We're going to thread the right hand underneath the left arm, placing the right shoulder on the floor. And then we're going to crawl the left fingertips forward if we can, if we've got the stability there. So we can really open up the back of the shoulder joint there. Final breath, crawling the left fingertips in if the arm is outstretched. Really planting that left hand so we can sweep the right hand up overhead once more. And we plant it back down into our tabletop. Other side, left fingertips come up to face the ceiling. The left arm threads underneath the right arm. We look over to the right hand side. We lean on the back of the shoulder. And then we crawl our fingertips forward if that feels good, if that feels steady. Breathe in, breathe out. Crawling the hands back in, really planting that right hand so we can sweep the left hand up and overhead. And then back to our tabletop position. Coming now into a frog pose. Now if you've got a pillow or potentially a block around you, you can use this to help your frog pose. So from here, we're really just going to start taking the legs out wider to open the hips. So bring the legs just a little bit further, moving slowly here and with control because this can be quite intense. So we want to keep the arms up until we've moved our legs out wider than the mat. Again, as far as we can go, you can experiment with it here. And then we're going to bring our forearms down to the mat. We can plant the hands onto the ground here for stability. And once you're here, make sure that your toes are pointing outwards. Heels are pointing in. And then again, you can see if you can go just a little bit further. If it feels quite intense, you can rock forwards and backwards slightly. Or as I said, you can use a pillow. A pillow for your bed is probably the best option here. So you can place the pillow in between your knees, come down onto your forearms, spreading the fingertips, pushing the palms in, and then start to take your knees out wider, pointing the toes away from the body towards the side of the room. You can open out until your hips are resting on the pillow, using it for support. Breathing really deeply when the stretches are slightly more intense. And we'll come out if you've been holding that for a wee while. Again, coming out of this slowly, coming up on to the fingertips first. Starting to bring the knees in, bring the ankles in, bring the knees in. Removing your prop if it was there, and push back into a child's pose. Now if you want to counter that slightly, bring the knees in closer together in this pose and push back. You can also bring the hands so that the palms are facing up, bringing the hands down towards the feet and curl up into a ball, opening the back body. Couple more breaths here in your child, settling into it. If your hands are by your side, you can crawl them forward. We're going to come down to lying on our belly. So we'll come up and out, bring the feet back, point out the toes, and come down onto our belly. We'll take our arms out wide, so towards the corners of the mat, the front corners of the mat. Just place them diagonally in front of the front corners of the mat and come into our spider grip. So pushing the fingertips into the floor, and then we'll wave out the spine. So we'll push up out of the shoulders. Once we're upright, our head will come up towards the ground, and then we'll come back down towards the mat, chin tucks in last. Making it a real waving motion in the spine. So pushing up and out of the shoulders, head then comes up last, and waving back down, chest comes down first, then chin tucks in. A couple more times like this. Pushing up and out, bringing the head towards the ceiling and then coming back down, tucking the chin. Move in your own time, in your own breath. Now coming down, taking the hands out to a T shape, outstretched beside us. Stay here for one breath. Breathe in. And breathe out. Now our right hand is going to come in and plant firmly beside the right shoulder, elbow pointing up towards the ceiling. Our right leg is going to bend at a 90-degree angle. We're going to flex the foot so that the heel is pushing up towards the ceiling. Now we're going to push out of the right hand. So we're going to push the right hand into the ground to roll over the left shoulder. And that foot is going to come down to touch the floor. So really pushing into the hand. You can take your gaze over the right shoulder up towards the ceiling. And breathe. You want to feel the stretch a little further, you can straighten out the right leg. Or just keep it bent and bring it closer towards the body if you don't want to twist so deeply. And rolling back down to neutral. Bringing that right shoulder down towards the mat, straightening out the right hand. Again, just stay in a neutral spine for one breath. Big breath in. Big breath out. Left hand comes in this time. Planting it just below the shoulder. Bringing our right foot up towards the ceiling, 90 degrees. Flex the foot, the heel pushes up towards the ceiling. The left hand now pushes into the ground so that we can twist over to the right hand side, bringing the sole of the foot down onto the ground. We can look up over the right shoulder, or left shoulder this time. Final breath. And left shoulder comes back down towards the floor. T-shape with the arms. Or we can bring our arms down by the side, down by the legs. We can come onto the right ear. And really let the shoulders feel heavy against the mat. Now we're going to go for an optional bow pose, depending on how you're feeling. If you're really not feeling so good, I wouldn't recommend doing it. But if you feel like you've got a bit of energy after these movements, we're going to go into a bow pose. It's going to be a real, bit more intense front opener of the whole body. So just see how you go. We're going to bend both legs, bringing the toes in towards the bum on both of the legs, really pointing the toes in towards the bum as far as you can go. We're going to grab on to the front of the ankle, to the top side of the ankle. We're going to roll our shoulders back, bring our shoulder blades together behind the back. If this is enough for you today, this is still a really good stretch and opening for the front body. We're opening up the shoulders, we're opening up the hips, we're opening up the quads. If you want to go further and come along with me, we're going to take a deep breath in. We're going to push the belly button into the mat and we're going to look up towards the ceiling. So here we go. Breathe in. Push the feet into the hands. Look up towards the ceiling. Push the belly button into the mat and opening up the front body. Keeping the knees as close together as you can. Breathe out, come back down. Let's do that a couple more times. So breathing in, kick the front of the feet into the hands. Rotate the shoulders outwards, open up the chest, look up. Push the belly button into the ground. Bring your knees together and breathe out, back down. Third and final time. See if you can open up just a little bit more. Breathing in, come up. Really push the belly button in. Bring those knees together. Open the chest. Breathe. And back down. Well done. Let go of the feet. Bring them back down to the ground. Rest your head down. You can turn it onto the other side this time. Breathing deeply, resting. And we'll just come into a final child's pose to neutralize the spine. Pushing up and back through into our child's pose. Let's keep the knees together this time. And let's bring the arms down by the feet. Palms of the hands facing the ceiling. And we're going to curl and tuck our chin in. This is our final pose in today's class, so just enjoy it. Breathe deeply, rest and recover. Crawling back up to a kneeling position. You are more than welcome to take another 5 or 10 minutes here, going into a final Shavasana. If not, thank you for joining me in this last sequence. I hope it's made you feel a bit better. Namaste.